Welcome to Super Kamiguru 9000's review of Naruto 535. Okay, so the chapter starts off with Naruto looking at Iruka Sensei, and he's like, "Oh, you're here too?" And, we just have some other C-listers there, and then we also have the bug guy and some other people. It's the dad of, what's his name again, Corey?
Shino.
Shino's dad is there, and so that's pretty much where the chapter begins.
Obviously, Naruto's concerned because before this he felt the Nine-Tails chakra outside and he didn't know what it is. That's when Iruka gives him this bullcrap story, basically.
Yeah.
Telling him that there's this animal on this island that's actually absorbed the Nine-Tails chakra, and we're trying to capture it and stop it. And this is when Naruto thinks for a second, and he remembers when he was talking to Killer Bee, and Killer Bee, he knows that he tamed all these animals on the island, and Naruto's just like... Wait a minute!
Bullcrap!
Yeah, and then he finally realizes something's not quite right.
So Naruto, deciding that this is just a lie and that there's something really going on, just faces off with the two Akamichi clan members. I'm assuming that's what they are because they're big and they look like they could expand like, some of the other members of that clan.
I call them the X and O brothers because one have O on their one cheeks and X on the other.
Anyway, Naruto just instantly goes into Sage mode and then just boom, smashes him through a wall. And real quick, I just think that this is kind of weird because Sage mode is all about holding still to gather the energy to do it. This real Zen type thing. And then all of a sudden Naruto's just like on and just... So, this is kind of, in my opinion, somewhat of a plot hole. But, I guess Sage mode, Naruto's a master of it. So he can just turn it on and off.
I do think it's cool that he gets to use Sage mode again. I'm glad it's not going the way of like Kaioken or something. He actually has a use for it.
Yeah, I think he'll use it, and this also makes him an extremely useful sensor ninja now, too. So Naruto's outside, and now that his Sage mode is on, like we just said, he's an awesome sensor ninja, and he just realizes all this stuff is going on, and he's like, whoa, what is all this?
At this point, Iruka realizes that Naruto, he knows what's going on, so he's like, screw it. He's just going to tell him what is up. And he lets him know that Madara is currently having his war, and the reason they're having to confine Bee and Naruto is, simply put, they can't get them captured. It's just going to be too detrimental to the war itself. Of course, Naruto reacts accordingly, in a nice, calm manner.
It's just funny because Naruto does not care that the war is about him and Bee being captured, because that's the whole point of Madara's plan, is to gather all the tailed beasts, and those are the only two remaining.
And before this whole little event, there's a little flashback they have with Nagato, and you get to see that old conversation that him and Naruto had about the whole, being able to prevent and stop war. And before that, it was kind of shady, but now there actually is a good reason to want to stop this war when you think about it. Because when you got the Shinobi Alliance, and they're up against Madara and the Akatsuki, it's pretty much everybody against the bad guys at this point. This is like one of the most justifiable wars of I've ever seen. So Naruto now has a good reason to be in this war, and he's going to end it the way he wants to.
Going back to the Nagato speech Naruto and Nagato had, it's pretty obvious that Naruto says, I will endure all the pain and suffering that this war provides, and I will take it on all myself. And this panel in particular is pretty crazy because Naruto just looks intense. Like, you see him, and I always thought the froggy eyes were kind of dumb and kind of cutesied up Naruto, but in this panel it makes him look really intense, especially with his awesome emo eyeshadow.
After that really, really cool panel, we're going to jump into Cliche Corner, with Iruka giving us some kind words to Naruto. Naruto's questioning, why are you doing this? Why are you wanting to prevent me from going to this war? And Iruka, of course, gives us the answer, because you're like a little brother to me.
We have seen Naruto and Iruka have these conversations kind of before. Maybe not the brother.
Why is Naruto shocked by this?
Iruka was like his mentor, back in the day. The one that gave him the headband.
This is such an established fact. It's not a bad thing, really. I actually enjoyed this chapter a lot because it felt like a Naruto chapter because, of course, the main character was in it. But this just seemed tired to me, personally.
Iruka, knowing that Naruto's just going to leave anyway, just decides to pick up his headband because it came off during their scuffle, and he hands it back to him, and he's just like, "Oh, it's a trap. You aren't going anywhere." Sorry.
Shino's dad sends out his insects to start
bugging Naruto.
God, that's terrible. That's a horrible joke.
We're using it. Okay.
After this, Shino's dad sends out his insects to bug Naruto. But Naruto's like, screw that! And he goes into his Super Saiyan Kyuubi mode and just gets the crap out of there.
Yep, and he's long gone. Naruto is jumping through the trees and doing everything a ninja can do, to try to get to the war. And he realizes that there's a note underneath the metal flap of his headband.
And this is, of course, a note from Iruka, and the contents of the note are really simple. Basically, he's letting him know their job was to make sure that Naruto couldn't go anywhere for as long as they could. The Hokages wanted that to happen. They knew he was going to leave eventually, but this was just to make sure, to buy some time. But the last part of the note is real simple. Iruka's just like, whatever you do, take care of yourself, don't die, basically.
And that is the end of chapter 535. So for Naruto chapter 535, I thought it was a good chapter, not a great chapter. A lot of dialogue, a lot of things we've seen before, a lot of things we were expecting.
A lot of tired cliches.
Yes, and Naruto makes this chapter probably a 3 out of 5 for me, just because he was in it. And it's
most redeeming part of the chapter.
Yeah, it's called Naruto, and look, there was Naruto in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a good chapter. It just wasn't a great chapter, but I mean, now that Naruto's entering the battlefield, it's definitely going to get better from here on.
And it's only a matter of time before you know who pops onto the field. Sasuke.
Sasuke.
Yeah, the real main character of the show.
Well, I mean, it's definitely arguable at this point. Mm-hmm. And so we want to ask you guys one question, and that is, where do you think Naruto is going to go? Because he has a few choices, and you see in some of his sensory flashbacks as he was kind of getting a picture of the war, there are all these different places he could go to. Sakura, Kakashi, a few other people. So which place do you think Naruto is headed?
All right, guys, for this week, we got to give it a 3 out of 5. Nothing spectacular, but it was an entertaining chapter nonetheless, due, of course, to Naruto himself. Well, that's it for this week, guys. We'll see you next time. Super Kami Guru 9000, Outa!
I'm going to hold it. I'm going to hold it.